Sure. Right, my name is Sean Taylor.
Just cross the mic.
My name is Sean Taylor, and I've been in Fawkes for about 10 years. My parents passed away about 5 years ago, cancer. I couldn't take the pressure, got involved with the wrong people, got introduced to heroin. In the beginning, I wasn't really into it, but I felt that it did help me get over my bad feelings with my parents and my loss. I couldn't get out. Once you're on the heroin, your body goes into a down. I tried a few times to stop. It's not possible. I've been to hospital, I've been to rehab. It takes away everything. Everything you own. Financial difficulty, food, anything you own, car, house. I had everything. I was wealthy. I had a business.
Yeah.
I lost it. Not because of the drugs, but because of my parents. Medical issues, financial difficulty. Left me basically with nothing. Now I'm on the street. Also not because of the drugs, but now the drugs are the answer to my problems because it takes away the pain. So every day is a struggle. As much as you don't want to use it, you turn to it. It's the only friend you have. It helps. It really does help. Horrible thing to say, but a lot of people out there turn their backs on you, irrelevant of the fact if they know you're using drugs or not. They just don't have heart or time for people. And when you're on the street, you get to know people. You get to know them well. People aren't all that. They give forth what they are not. Nobody is really true. They're all about themselves. They have no time for people around them, and that God is going to punish them for that one day. Because when they're in a predicament, they turn to God. Who do I turn to? So it's difficult.
You said your name is?
Sean Taylor.
Sean Taylor. Taylor. Okay, Sean. Sean, if I may ask, right now, where are you living?
On the street.
You're living on the street. You don't have any place, a stable place where you're living?
No.
So how come you end up living on the street like that? Maybe if you can just explain to us.
How it ends up like that is basically it comes to the point where in my situation the bank took the house back, the bank took my car back. I had a business, I had to basically liquidate it to take care of my parents' medical bills. And then basically at the end of the day they both passed away in the same year. It cost me to cremate both of them. It was a lot of money, 20,000 rand, which I just about didn't have. So I had to sell off my furniture to do that, to get them basically cremated and just give them, I couldn't give them a decent burial, but that's what I could do. I had to cremate them. After that, the bank came, they gave me 3 months and told me if I don't have a way of paying the bond on the house, they're going to repossess the house. So when the house got repossessed, the furniture was already sold. A month after that, they took my car back. So that's how I ended up on the street. Looking for work in Fawkes, it's not possible. The town is too small. Opportunities are very slim. Like I said, most people can't see when you are using drugs. But that doesn't really affect the fact when you find a job, because the minute you find a job, you have meaning. You will get off the drugs like that. But if you get shot down over and over again, you turn to the drugs again.
As you say, you were talking about a business. What happened to your business?
I had to liquidate the business so that I could have finances to pay the doctors and the chemotherapy on my parents. So that was the beginning of the downfall. Once I liquidated the business, the money I had there, it went straight for house rent, my car, the installment on my vehicle. I had to settle my dad's medical bills, otherwise the doctors wouldn't see them anymore. The state hospital, well, they only equipped to a certain extent on cancer victims or cancer patients. So they needed specialists, and specialists cost money. I tried hard to keep them alive, as much as I knew they were going to pass. But if I could give them an extra year, 2.
It's very hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
When was it? When did you start using drugs, and what kind of type of drugs that are you using?
I started back when my parents passed away. I was on pharmaceuticals like antidepressant, um, Xanax, stuff like that to help. Zombie vein to sleep. Anything to do with like down in that kind of fashion, like in depression. You don't sleep. You have nightmares. You want to commit suicide the whole time. So that stuff didn't work. Someone reckoned, try something else. And that was the mistake I made. I tried something else. And that something else was heroin. It did work, funny enough. It worked. But it wasn't a good choice because I never knew the Down syndrome that you get from heroin. That I found out the hard way. When I tried to stop using it, I couldn't stop. My body wouldn't let me stop. You have horrible feelings. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. Stomach cramps, throwing up blood. Can't sleep, can't walk, can't eat, can't sleep. You can't do anything. You become like an invalid. You're useless. Your whole body stops functioning because of that. So you have to turn to that drug again and again and again. And it's a daily occurrence. The longest you can go without it is 2 days. But then things start turning on you, like your body turns onto you horribly. It's not a nice thing. You cannot eat when you want to eat. You can be starving. And the minute you put food in your mouth, you throw up. Yeah. You get stomach cramps. It's a horrible thing.
Yeah. No, it's very, very hard, man. It's very, very hard. Yeah.
It's the worst drug out there.
Out there. Yeah. So, like, if you can tell me, like right now, the way of using the drug that are you using, which way? Because I've had like some couple of ways people they're using the drug. Which one that you're using right now?
Well, most people, they start off by chasing, putting it on a foil, lighting it and smoking it, just sucking it in. Some of them put it into ganja and smoke it. And some use the needle, spiking. Yeah. And, well, I've taken the worst course of it. I spike. I use a needle. And that is the most efficient way of using it. And it gives you a longer term of not downing, where when you're chasing it and smoking it, the down comes very quick. So the reason why I use it the way I use it, it gives me a longer period in between times where I don't need to use it. I hate the drug. But I found out by a doctor, in fact, told me not to use the drug. But when I reckoned to him by chasing it or spiking it, he's the one that told me that if it goes into your blood system directly, it will stay in there for a longer period. And when he gave me that information, it wasn't the information he was trying to give me to tell me to stay on needles. I explained to him my situation and I told him, I don't want to use the drug, I need to get off it, but I also don't want to use it all the time. What is the best way of using it, the safest way, and for the longest term? That it will help me not go into a Down syndrome. And he told me by the needle. As long as the needles are clean, don't share needles, get needles from the hospital. And he showed me the correct method of doing it. So I did get expert advice. I didn't just take it from a junkie off the street. And yes, I do it with a clean needle and I make sure that everything is sterilized.
So precisely, I can say you use it like professionally.
Yes, I use it professionally. Yes, I do. I use it in the right manner. Unfortunately, it's a drug, but I do believe that using it in the right manner, in the right fashion, you will not pick up HIV, you will not get infections, and there are certain things you need to do before you use the drug. Some of the street boys, they have no self-respect. They just take a dirty needle, they share it amongst each other. They have no worries about HIV. I see that every day and I try and explain to them that's not the way to go, and they don't listen to me. Sometimes they don't have money to buy a new needle and then they share it with each other. And they don't care about HIV. Half of them probably even have it already. So yes, there are a professional way of using it and then there's the wrong way of using it. But using a needle in general on drugs is just a no-no. But I do believe if you're going to do it, just do it right. As long as you're doing it right, it doesn't give you an excuse to use drugs, not at all. But I believe by doing it in a professional fashion, you'll be all right until the day you stop using it.
All right. If I may ask, have you ever tried to look out for help, maybe in sort of way, maybe kind of type of rehab and all of that? If you have, can you just like elaborate to us which process did you take and or went through?
Sure. I have been to rehab. I ended up in hospital here in Foxus because of trying to commit suicide on the same drug by using an extent amount. After my parents passed away, I didn't want to live. So the hospital, they took me in, explained to me it's not a good thing to commit suicide, obviously, and would I be interested in going to rehab? And I said yes. They gave me a contact number. I phoned the people. I got myself there. I went in. I finished off the 3 months that I was there. Came out, relapsed, hit depression, and relapsed back on the same drug again. It was, after 3 months, it was about 5 months that I was clean. But after that, it's just you go into depression, and antidepressants don't work. People tell you go on that antidepressant, and once you've gone 4 or 5 months of using a certain tablet for depression, it will start making you feel better. I couldn't wait that long. I was feeling it. It was too bad for me. It was too much. So yes, I've tried to get help, professional help, and it comes back and haunts you. And most people I know relapse. If you have an addictive personality, you'll find yourself either being an alcoholic or a drug addict or a sex addict. Those things all fall into addictive personalities. There's not many people that have that, but there are people that do have it. And then on the other hand, some people just become an alcoholic, but some people have addictive personality, suffer with a lot of things in life. They grab on something they like and they can't let go. And unfortunately, I have that. So
if I may say, I get your point. Once you become an addict or a drug addict, you're always going to be an addict.
Of some kind, yes. You'll always be an addict of some kind.
You're always going to relapse and go back to the old ways, like as you used to.
Without a question.
So which means once you start this drug, until the things that are going to separate you with the drug is death.
It's death.
I've heard, like they said, some other people, they use like some amount of injection when they inject with the injection. They use numbers. So if I may ask you, which number are you using, and how many amount of drugs that you're using per day, and how many amount of drugs that satisfy you per day, that you can say, okay, if I have this amount of drugs, it's gonna last me for this period, and how much do you spend a day on drugs?
Okay, sure. Well, each person is different. The amount of money you spend on drugs is the amount of money you can achieve during the day. Most people that are on heroin find it hard to keep a job. It matters how long they've been using it and how much they use per day. I find myself not using it to get high, but to stay away from the down. So I try and use as minimum as possible. I've tried to cut back to where I'm reaching the down, and I stay in the down for about a couple of hours, and I will just use a sufficient amount of Murph. It's 15 milliliter in a syringe. It's very, very little. It's a very small amount, but it will take the down away for the day. So the amount of money I would use in a day would be about 50 Rand. Some of them are up to 400 Rand a day. Some of them are using more than that a day. But the more you use, the more you need. I'm going in the opposite direction. I'm cutting back on it. So I'm trying to get off it in a slow way, but I'm feeling the pain. I'm in pain every day.
You can't get rid of it.
It's not that easy. Most people just say stop. You stop, you die. You need medical help.
If I may ask, right now, what kind of type of help, like you be like, this is the kind of type of help that I think it can change the rest of my life? Because if you tell me that you have tried the professional way of quitting drugs, but you relapse, so I don't get it. So now what kind of type of help that you're looking for?
What kind of help you need? You need a friend that will stick by you through the difficult times. You need somewhere where you can go, they can feed you, help you, speak to you, understand you, not just be there because they have to be there, but be there because they're your friend. Support. Support is what you need. That is the most important thing. Not money. You need support. You need someone that will really stick by you. Even though when you are downing, there are medical ways of like methadone. You can use methadone. But just methadone itself is not going to fix you. You need somewhere where you can stay for a month or two. The minute you get off the drug, you become like an invalid. Your body stops functioning. So you need vitamins and vitamins. You need methadone. You need a small quantity of heroin. When you hit the hard times, in your down times, you use a very, very little of it with the methadone. And then the following month, you become clean. No more heroin, it's clean methadone, and then you're off it. But then still after that, you need to have a job lined up. The minute you get bored, you're going to find yourself in that addictive personality problem that you have. So you need to have a job lined up the minute you are feeling that you are up to it. But your body has to be ready for it. Because once you get off this drug, your body is completely, it's useless. It doesn't work. You can't walk. All the bones, your hands, they don't function. They swell up. You find it very, very difficult to walk. Sleeping, your whole sleeping pattern is completely buggered because when you do use the heroin, it helps you sleep at night. You do sleep. If you're in a certain fashion pattern, it becomes a way of sleeping. But the minute you get off it, you do not sleep for days. So you're not sleeping, it means you're not getting sufficient rest. And if you're not resting, you can't go to work. This is why they don't work.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't get sufficient rest.
Another thing, what caused them or the people who took this kind of type of drugs not likely to take a bath? Because most of them, it seems like they're no longer bathing. And what the cause of that?
Well, you can see me, I'm clean. I'm very clean. I make sure that I'm clean every day. I have a shower. Even if I don't have a home, I will find someone that can help me with a shower at least. I brush my teeth, I wash my hair, I shave, I cut my hair, I clean my hands, my nails, I'm clean. On the other hand, you have in fact, every single one of these street boys give up on hygiene. They just give up completely. To them, it's just a waste of time because no one cares about them. So why should they worry about looking good, feeling good, smelling clean? Amongst them, they smell fine because they all stink. You understand? So they don't tell each other they're smelling. So they don't really know they're stinking, but they do know in the back of their mind they're not clean, obviously. I mean, I've seen some of them, their hands are so dirty, I wouldn't even take something from them from their hands. You know, so I've spoken to many of them, just wash your hands at least, you know. But they don't care, because people don't care about them. So why should they care about themselves? So the first thing that goes is hygiene. And then after that, self-respect. And once they've lost self-respect, they don't care about people around them either. That's when they start doing robberies, housebreaking, things like that, assault.
Okay. So like right now, is like you said you are homeless. Do you have like any place where you're sleeping, or you use friends, or like do you have like some part of your family members that help you with the place of sleeping, or maybe that you can cry on?
Not at all. I have no family left. I'm 50 years old. I have no family. So I have no friends. I have maybe one or two people that will say, okay, come tonight, come and sleep over here. I see you need some rest. Most of the time it's at the garage. Wherever there's a safe spot, I would sleep. But when I get up in the morning, I would use the garage's facilities to brush my teeth, wash my hands, my face. I make sure in the week that I have a shower at least 3 times in the week, that my body or my rest of my body is clean. But everything else gets done every day at the facilities that are around me, the garages. It's not a nice living, it's not a nice way to live. But until I get a job again, I can start looking after myself again. You see, so that's why I'm trying to cut back on the heroin now, to get to a point where it's not that bad in my system anymore. So every day is a struggle for me. I suffer. I feel pain. A lot of pain.
Why this pain? Why this pain?
Stomach cramps. Bad. Shins. Your legs. All bones. Everything in your hands. You can see my hands. What it does to your bones. You can't even hold something. It falls from your hands. Yeah, so the pain that you have it's migraines, but mostly horrible body pains. You can't go to the toilet properly like a normal person. When you stand and pee, it takes for hours. It takes for hours to use the toilet. All your body functions become very hard to use properly, correctly. You don't sleep all the time, but when you do use the stuff, you do sleep. So it doesn't mean you always have money for the stuff. And you can't always take the money you have and just buy drugs. You need to eat too. So you got to buy food as well. People don't just give you food. I mean, I stand by the spa some days the whole day. People won't even give you a loaf of bread. They don't have time. And they don't care. The excuse all the time is they swipe or they have their own family to take care of. I can respect that and understand that. But sometimes there are people that do have money, but they don't have heart. And I feel they have to answer to God for that. Because God is going to ask them, do you remember that day that God was standing?
While we are talking about that, if I may ask, which way are you hustling with? Like maybe the part of hustling that you're doing so that you can manage to manage yourself, like like getting food and
my habit. Or to support myself with my habit and my food. It's between small jobs per day, anything from cutting grass, from packing shelves, cleaning cars. Any job that's offered to me, I will do it. But in between that, if there's no work, then it's begging on the street, asking people for assistance. And most of the time, it's not for money. I do ask for food. And most people would give money. And sometimes that's not a good thing, because some of us would take the money and not buy food and end up starving but using the drug because of the down. And if you speak to anybody that uses heroin, the first thing they're going to tell you, the down is the horriblest thing you can go through. So you will sacrifice hunger for not having that feeling of the down. Yeah. So that's how we do it. We beg on the street if we don't have small jobs to do.
every day?
Every single day. You got to wake up as much as you don't want to wake up, because you know the minute your eyes open, you're back in the nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's a living goddamn nightmare every day.
If I may ask you just any advice just for youngsters that are still growing up right now, who thought it's fashionable or you're in a style if you're taking drugs, they still maybe at their early stage of smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, ganja, and all of the stuff, and now they said, I don't feel it anymore, I just want to try heavy stuff. Maybe they're going to suggest what you call heroin at the Nyaupe thing. What advice you can give to those people who are thinking it's fashionable to take drugs?
Yeah. Well, I can't say don't do it. Every man's got his own opinion on everything. If he thinks he's a man and he wants to prove himself to his friends, it's not the drugs, it's not the answer. You want to prove yourself to your friends, get an education, drive a nice car, get yourself a girlfriend, live life. Don't become like me. I lived life. I was wealthy. I had everything. My excuse is no excuse. I have no excuse for the drug. I was weak. You want to be weak? Use drugs. People won't see you as they see you now. They have respect for you. They will lose all respect for you and turn their backs on you, and you'll become nobody. So if you want to be a man and prove yourself to somebody, get a good job, get an education. That's how you prove yourself to people. That's how you do it. Not by being the man by using the drugs. The drugs ain't the answer. It's a short-term thing, but it becomes a long-term nightmare. Stay away from drugs. It's the worst thing you can do. It'll ruin your life. You might as well just shoot yourself now. So it's not the answer. It's the worst decision you could ever make in your life. Yeah.
Thank you so much for participating on our podcast. How did I end up in drugs? It's been I don't know what to say, but your story is very, very pretty sad, man. Losing both of parents on the same year. I can't imagine that pain, man, that you go through. It was like a horrible time. I'm sorry about that. Losing your business, losing everything that you have, that you work hard for. It was very, very terrible. What's your last word maybe that you would like to say to people who are listening to us, watching us?
Well, I believe, you might not believe it, but family, if you got family, try and keep it together. Stick to your family. Your family will always help you. Don't turn your back on your family, even though they won't turn their back on you, but don't turn your back on your family. Family is everything. I believe if you're lucky to have that opportunity to still have family, try and keep it that way. You're a lucky person. Thanks.
Thank you so much to participate on our show. From me, T Plus Monarch, the boss, the CEO himself, on how did I end up in drugs. Today, I've had like a lot. It's something that I wasn't expecting to hear from him, but this is life. If like there's anybody who have like any kind of type of a help that you